engagement between the committee and the management of the University of Calabar involves document scrutiny, putting forward observations in some critical areas.
Section 80 subsection 3 is saying no money shall be withdrawn from any public fund of the Federation other than the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation, unless the issue of those monies has been authorized by an act of the National Assembly. That's section 3, 80 subsection 3. And 80 subsection 3 is saying, subsection 4 is saying, no money shall be withdrawn from the Consolidated Revenue Fund or any other public fund of the Federation except in the manner prescribed by the National Assembly. Now, I'm making this quotation specifically in respect of the appropriation and expenditure of internally generated revenue. Okay. Internally generated revenue. You don't subject those revenues to appropriation. Ordinarily, at the beginning of each financial year, you are supposed to present to the committee your estimated revenue profile and a budget, what you intend to do with those monies. You approach the joint committees of the House and Senate, okay, and we go through it. We approve for you to expend. But most vice chancellors, when I ask them this, say, our councillors have given us approval.
Well, with you now.
Yes, your council has no power of appropriation.
You appropriate.
Yes?
We came to you and you approved.
You didn't.
You gave us envelope.
No, I approved your budget.
Is that not the approval?
No, I approved. What I approved is the budget as presented by Mr. President.
I want to appreciate you for the work you do for Nigerian university system and tertiary education in particular. As one who is the head of a university, I really recognize the fact that your committee has been doing so well. And year in, year out, we come to National Assembly. I know how you have all been very friendly to all of us, and you have rightly counseled and guided us through. Sometimes we do have some challenges, and when we come to the committee especially, I get to the chairman, I will always have a listening ear. I thank you for the fatherly role you have been playing, which has also helped us to improve on the development of our various institutions. I want to use the opportunity also to appreciate Mr. President for the enhancement of the budget of tertiary education, especially that comes from TED Fund, Tertiary Education Trust Fund. For this year, there was a lot of enhancement compared to what was in the years past. And we have the hope and the promise that there will be continuous improvement on such. And I want to say here that without that fund and the support of Mr. President, and especially your committee, perhaps the Nigerian university system wouldn't have been able to compete favorably with its counterparts across the world. Despite the huge challenges we still have in terms of funding, in terms of staffing, especially with the restriction on the employment of staff, as it were, university is a system where we do not need to have restriction. When we introduce a new program, immediately we are supposed to get the staffing strength that will go with such introduction of a new program. I know the university is very dynamic. We move with global trends. We can't afford to run the university in our own way because university, going by the name, is universal. And so when universities are ranked globally, nobody takes into cognizance our peculiarities. in terms of the challenges that universities in Nigeria are faced with. We are ranked as if we are competing with Harvard, we are competing with Cambridge, we are competing with MIT, and it's the truth. We are actually competing with global universities. So it is our hope that your committee will work in synergy with the rest of the National Assembly, especially with Mr. President, to see how much more money will be made to funding the Nigerian university system.
At the University of Uyo, the committee identified breaches in the nominal role, violating federal character principles, and inconsistency in the utilization of budgetary allocations.
But we wanted to make the atmosphere relaxed in such a manner that we interact freely. But once we become suspicious of the fact that figures are being bandied and then disowned, there is every reason for us to suspect a red flag. I don't want us to continue this way. I will invite the bursar to come and select for us which document are we to use, because already you are putting us in a very difficult position, and unless you take an oath that whatever figure you are giving us is the correct and final one, we may have to reject all the figures, all the documents here, and request you to submit fresh documents, and then be invited to Abuja for an entirely new interaction.
The issue of internally generated revenue and spending without appropriation remains a problem in many of the federal universities visited.
You are very familiar with all the successes and challenges of the institution. Therefore, you will be in a better position, having known and understood the system, to address those challenges and then forge ahead with the successes of this university. On behalf of the House Committee on University Education, I want to formally congratulate you for this wonderful feat.
Thank you so much, sir.
Normally I start with the nominal role. I don't know whether last year you are part of the team that interfaced with this committee. Minister, was he part of the team?
Yes,
you are not? Okay. You are not part of the team that interfaced with the committee when we came here in Oversight. And then last year, you made some promises to us, having raised the issue of your nominal role. And this is fundamental, very important, because it is a constitutional provision, specifically Section 14, subsection 3, under the fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy. And in order to enforce this constitutional provision, the National Assembly created the Federal Character Commission. Under the Act, each state of the Federation was given an equity share of 2.3% of the nominal roll of all federal government-owned agencies. FCT is entitled to 1% of your nominal roll. An exception can be made for catchment areas, but it must not exceed 3%. A violation of this constitution of this act provides for 3-year imprisonment with no option of fine. Under such circumstance, the Vice Chancellor, Madam Registrar, you are directly on the firing line because you are the Secretary of Council. And all members of Council also and management are also liable. While Council is empowered by law to recruit the senior staff cadre and the management, the management itself is responsible for the recruitment of junior and middle level manpower of the university. So under this provision, you are directly responsible whenever there is any problem. Even though it's not comprehensive, you tried in some pages, you indicated the state of origin.
A million to my, yes, now, because it's 25% of your visit. IGR. So, gross. So if you collected, for example, 1 billion, you are supposed to remit 250 million as your remittance to CRF. So that is what you are, maybe you will explain later to the committee. And there are some transpositions in your transactions that could be called error, I believe, because error is just a mistake that can be fixed. And whenever it cannot be fixed, that means it's intentional.
Do you have error in accounting?
We have error, sir.
In accounting?
Yes.
Error.
But sir, the person knows that.
But error in accounting has another name.
Fraud. I know, it's not fraud. It's not fraud. Error, in most cases, sir, it's not intentional. But where it cannot be defended, it is assumed to be intentional. So you make some mistakes like transposition of these payment vouchers. Maybe you raise a voucher in May, for example, and you give it a number, June that has not even come. So these are some kind of transposition. Or maybe one figure like 756,000, you raise 676,000. That means you are transposing your figures. That are all errors and infractions, of course. So, Mr. Chairman, this is to correct them, for them to note, not to change hands.
Yes, my own is just a sort of advice, especially to the vice councillors. To the grace of God, you have started very well. Please just see this committee lawyer may go to the court on the pretense that defending the Constitution of Nigeria. It does go on the pretense because it's a constitutional issue. So please, you have to correct that. And the future recruitment, let it spread, especially on this. Is very essential. Is very essential. Then I will 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 is very essential. Then I will
The committee had earlier oversight University of Port Harcourt, expressing dismay due to the absence of the Vice-Chancellor and top principal officers. The committee therefore summoned the management to report to the National Assembly.
In exercise of the powers vested on the National Assembly for oversight responsibilities under sections 88 and 89 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. Those powers, for the benefit of any doubt, I will go ahead to read out those powers given to the National Assembly in respect of its oversight responsibilities. Section 88, subsection 1 reads, subject to the provision of this Constitution, each House of the National Assembly shall have power, by resolution published in its journal or in the official gazette of the government of the Federation, to direct or cause to be directed an investigation into A, any matter or thing with respect to which it has power to make laws, and B, the conduct of affairs of any person, authority, ministry, or government department charged or intend to be charged with the duty of or responsibility for 1. Execution and or administration laws enacted by the National Assembly, and 2. Disbursing or administering monies appropriated or to be appropriated by the National Assembly. 2. The powers conferred on the National Assembly under the provision of this section are exercisable only for the purpose of enabling it to A, make laws with respect to any matter within its legislative competence and correct any defects in existing laws, and B, expose corruption, inefficiency, or waste in the execution or administration of laws within its legislative competence and in the disbursement or administration of funds appropriated by it. Section 89 goes like that. 1. For the purpose of any investigation under Section 88 of this Constitution and subject to the provision thereof, the Senate or the House of Representatives or a committee appointed in accordance with Section 62 of this Constitution shall have power to A, procure all evidence written or oral, direct or circumstantial, as it may think necessary or desirable, and examine all persons as witnesses whose evidence may be material or relevant to the subject matter. B, secure such evidence to be given on oath. C, summon any person in Nigeria, with no exception, any person. Summon any person in Nigeria to give evidence at any place or produce any document or other thing in his possession or under his control, and examine him as a witness and require him to produce any document or other thing in his possession or under his control, subject to all just exceptions. And D, issue a warrant to compel the attendance of any person who, after having been summoned to attend, fails, refuses, or neglects to do so, and does not excuse such failures, refusal, or neglect to the satisfaction of the committee or the committee in question, and order him to pay all costs which may have been occasioned in compelling his attendance or by reason of his failure, refusal, or neglect to obey the summons, and also to impose such fines as may be prescribed for any such failure, refusal, or neglect, and any fine so imposed shall be recoverable in the same manner as a fine imposed by a court of law. 2. A summon or warrant issued under this section may be served or executed by a member of the Nigerian police force or by any person authorized in that behalf by the President of the Senate or the Speaker of the House of Representatives, as the case may be. Now, I went out to read out at length because last year we were here, the Vice Chancellor ran away. And the same thing this year also, the Vice Chancellor ran away. He has been avoiding oversight responsibilities of the House of Representatives. He will dump insufficient documents, insufficient information at the disposal of staffers who knew very little about those transactions, and then saddle them with the responsibility of explaining to the committee transactions that they knew nothing about. And therefore, we are charging the Vice Chancellor of University of Port Harcourt of willful, deliberate sabotage of the conduct of oversight function of the National Assembly. So I saw, based on that, honorable colleagues, I would like a motion to that effect be moved by Honorable Omiri Emmanuel and seconded by Honorable Ilyasu before we proceed.
As requested by the committee, the Vice-Chancellor, University of Port Harcourt, Professor Abraham George, appeared before the committee to defend the institution's budget performance.
You may recall our encounter with the management of University of Port Harcourt. We are there on oversight in line with the excellent provisions of sections 88 and 89 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. When there, we met the absence of the Vice Chancellor. As a result of this absence, the committee called off the interface with the representative of the Vice Chancellor. We then requested the Vice Chancellor to appear before the committee here in Abuja. Indeed, the Vice Chancellor today has appeared before the committee. He has responded to all the issues raised on the report that he submitted to the committee. We have made our observations on the nominal role of the university, which has fallen short of the excellent provisions of Federal Character Act, and also the provisions of sections 14, subsection 3 of the Constitution. We have also made some observation on the gaps in the IGR collections, and we have advised them to make the necessary corrections. The Vice Chancellor apologized for what had happened, and we have taken his apology, and therefore we have given the Vice Chancellor a clean bill, and therefore I want to take this opportunity to most sincerely thank all members of the committee for their time and their dedication.
The chairman, the House Committee on University Education, and members of the committee and the committee clerk. I'm Professor Abraham George, Vice Chancellor, University of Port Harcourt. We have come here to apologize firstly for our inability to take our oversight function at the University of Port Harcourt due to some reasons, although without prejudice, those reasons should not have stopped us. And so we're invited and we're here in the House. We've met with the committee, and we're indeed very glad that the committee has forgiven us and has given us this privilege to be able to present and to defend the issues that the committee have raised. And when we go back, we'll do the necessary corrections and send back to the committee. We're indeed very grateful for this opportunity, for a second chance given to us to be able to carry on this oversight function that we were not able to get at the University of Port Harcourt. We are very grateful to the chairman and members of the committee.
Examining the report of the Federal University of Tuike in Bayelsa State, committee members classified it as incomplete as it relates to budget performance and funds utilization.
2024, 2025, I think we are given this template or format on the spreadsheet, but we did not put anything as far as projections are concerned. No projections. Projection, what you project to collect
23 and
in
24.
2023, 2024, and 2025. Are you with me? So you are not able to project for the IGR. It's good that you project so that we know what you intend to collect. If, for example, a particular revenue source, you can collect more money, for example, we can advise you appropriately, but there is no projection that. So this is an error, I believe. That is number one. Number two, in 2023, we have, if I verify you to page, sorry, your total receipts. Your total receipts in 2023 is 1,101,000,000. 547,500 naira. Is that?
Yes.
That is for 2023.
290,512.38. 1st June 2023. Blah 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 blah. Now, if expended the whole amount, who is the contractor? If you can say that you don't know, you are not sure, then we can move forward. Okay, so how many students paid?
Paid the examination fees?
No. Let me, number 35, other academic services, which are described as a nebulous terminology, is vague. Okay? But then the sum of 2.8 billion have been generated under this terminology. Now, I want to know the profile of this 2.8 billion.
Rounding off the oversights at the University of Benin in the South-South, the management of the university admitted some infractions in their submission.